Welcome to the students of 2nd PUC. This is session 6 of chapter 7, alternating current. Before discussing the topics related to session 6 of alternating current, today I will be recalling the topics related to the chapter of oscillations which we had studied in 1st PUC. So let me begin. Let us recall the oscillations of a horizontal spring mass system. Initially, when the mass and spring is at equilibrium, the displacement or the position is taken as x. Now, I am going to pull the mass by an extent which is equal to plus a, and if I release, this spring mass system oscillates between minus a and plus a. Plus a and minus a are the extremes of the value x. So, I call a as amplitude. The oscillations of the spring between minus a and plus a can be represented by x is equal to a cos omega t. If you remember, so this equation represents an object in simple harmonic motion. The displacement x or the position x keeps changing from plus a to minus a. Next, let me think of velocity. Velocity is rate of change of position or rate of displacement. So, if I differentiate this, I will get this as a is a constant, differentiation of cos omega t gives me minus omega into sin omega t. Therefore, this will finally give me minus a into omega sin omega t. So, this is velocity. Further, I define acceleration. Acceleration is rate of change of velocity, while velocity is itself rate of change of position. So, finally, acceleration is d square x by dt square. For simplification, I will take the expression v is equal to minus a into omega sin omega t. So, if you are applying a is equal to dv by dt, then acceleration is differentiation of minus a omega into sin omega t. A and omega, amplitude and angular velocity are constants. Differentiation of sin omega t gives me omega into cos omega t. So, finally, the expression is going to be minus a into omega square cos omega t. A into cos omega t is again the equation for displacement x. So, I can write acceleration is equal to minus omega square into x. So, this expression defines simple harmonic motion. We will recall that simple harmonic motion was being defined as the simplest of oscillatory motion, in which acceleration is directly proportional to displacement and opposite to displacement. The negative sign here tells us that acceleration of an object in SHM is opposite to the displacement, which means if the mass is being proceeding towards the positive x direction, acceleration would be towards the negative x direction. If the mass is moving towards negative x direction, then acceleration would be in the positive x direction. So, in SHM, acceleration is directly proportional to displacement and opposite to displacement. Further, in place of acceleration A, I will substitute d square x by dt square. So, let us see what happens. In place of acceleration, now I have substituted d square x by dt square. So, the equation becomes d square x by dt square is equal to minus omega square into x. I will rearrange this, d square x by dt square, shift this from right hand side to left hand side, plus omega square x is equal to 0. Let me name this. I will take this as equation 1, the equation for displacement as equation 1, the equation for acceleration for an object in SHM I take it as equation 2. The same equation 2 can be represented by equation 3. So, this differential equation is representing SHM, simple harmonic motion or oscillations. Equation 3 represents simple harmonic motion or oscillations. Well, finally, we will be making use of these two equations, especially equation 1, x is equal to a cos omega t, and equation 3, d square x by dt square plus omega square x is equal to 0. Both represent simple harmonic motion. Today's discussion, where we will be discussing LC oscillations or LC oscillator, you will see that we will be getting equations similar to equation 1 and equation 3. So, let us proceed. The common habit or the easier way of representing SHM is generally by using the equation y is equal to a sin omega t. Instead of x is equal to a cos omega t, we can use the equation y is equal to a sin omega t. Well, even this equation represents SHM. If you are representing x is equal to a cos omega t, then I may tell it as the oscillation of a spring along x axis or horizontal oscillations of a spring. If I am using the equation y is equal to a sin omega t, then I may consider the vertical oscillations of a spring. So, both represent SHM. In this session, we will be discussing about LC oscillators. We will be deriving an equation for LC oscillations. We will be finding the energy associated with LC oscillations, and finally the analogy between mechanical oscillations and electrical oscillations. So, let us begin. What is a LC oscillator? A simple circuit consisting of a charged capacitor and an inductor acts as a source of oscillations. This circuit is what is called a LC oscillator. Now, let us prove that a LC oscillator provides oscillations, or there is oscillations in this circuit. Let us begin. Consider a capacitor charged to the full capacity Qm. It is connected to an inductor L through a key K. Initially it is open. Then when the key K is closed, the capacitor starts to discharge, therefore a current is produced in the circuit. Now, in this condition, when the key K is closed, the potential differences across the capacitor and the inductor are given by, I can take the potential across the capacitor, potential difference across the capacitor as Vc, and this is given by Q by C. Similarly, the potential difference across the inductor is L into di by dt, and this potential is minus L into di by dt. Now, we shall apply Kirchhoff's voltage law to the loop. Then we can write Q by C minus L into di by dt is equal to 0. Let me take this as equation 1. We shall rearrange this further. Before rearranging, the current in this circuit is because of discharging of the capacitor, and as current increases, the charge on the capacitor decreases. So, I can write current I is given by I is equal to rate of flow of charges, and it is minus dq by dt, because as current increases, the charge on the capacitor decreases. Therefore, equation 1 can be written as Q by C minus L into d by dt of, in place of I, take minus dq by dt. This will give you Q by C plus L into d square Q by dt square is equal to 0. I can further simplify this, rearrange. I can rearrange this as L into d square Q by dt square is equal to minus Q by C, and this L if I take it from left hand side to right hand side, I can write this equation as d square q by dt square is equal to minus q by LC. I can further simplify this. D square q by dt square plus 1 by LC into q is equal to 0. Let me take this as equation 2. Now, you recall the equation for SHM. What was it? It was given by d square x by dt square plus omega square into x is equal to 0. So, this equation is similar to equation of an SHM or of oscillations. Therefore, I conclude equation 2 is similar to equation of SHM, that is d square x by dt square plus omega square x is equal to 0. Equation 3. In your NCERT, here it is mentioned as omega naught square, not simply omega, omega naught, to represent natural frequency. Oscillations can be free oscillations where you will have natural frequency, or forced oscillations where we do not consider natural frequency but frequency omega. To represent free oscillations, here it is noted down as omega naught. Finally, I can conclude comparing equation 2 and equation 3, we can say that the charge in the circuit oscillates with natural frequency omega naught is equal to 1 by root LC. We had 1 by LC in place of omega square or omega naught square, which means omega naught is going to become 1 by root LC. I will take this as equation 4 and further, and the charge oscillates sinusoidally with time as q is equal to qm cos omega naught t, where qm is the maximum value of the charge. With this, we have successfully proved that LC oscillator circuit produces oscillations in which the charge on the capacitor oscillates by the equation q is equal to qm into cos omega naught t. You can further proceed and also show that the current in the circuit also oscillates. So, let me proceed further. I will be continuing from equation 5. The current in the circuit is given by I is equal to minus dq by dt, which implies it is minus of d by dt of qm cos omega naught t. Differentiation of cos of omega naught t gives minus omega naught into sin omega naught t. So, this implies the current is going to be given by minus of qm, the maximum charge which is being initially put on the capacitor is a constant. So, q maximum into minus omega naught into sin omega naught t. So, minus into minus, I will get it as plus omega naught into qm into sin of omega naught t. So, let me take this as equation 6. Equation 6 gives the expression for the current in the LC oscillator, and from this we can also tell that the current also changes sinusoidally in the circuit. At the end, I would conclude that from equation 4 and equation 6, we conclude that both the charge q on the capacitor and the current I in the circuit vary sinusoidally with the natural frequency omega naught, which is equal to 1 by root LC. While solving numericals, you will be having a numerical where an LC circuit is given and the frequency of oscillation is supposed to be found. In that case, we would be using this equation omega naught is equal to 1 by root LC. This is actually the expression for angular frequency. If you are specific for the expression in terms of frequency, the same can be written as F naught is equal to 1 by 2 pi root LC, which is the same expression as we have studied in series LCR circuit. We will now study the energy possessed by a LC oscillator. Here you have the figure given in your NCERT textbook, where the LC oscillations are being compared with the oscillations of a spring mass system. We will be considering only the oscillations of an LC oscillator now. Let me begin. The first case, where the capacitor is fully charged to its maximum capacity and the charge on the capacitor is Qm and the key K is open. In this situation, there is no current in the circuit. So, the energy possessed is entirely by the capacitor, and this energy I can write it as the energy is fully electrical and possessed by the capacitor. It is given by the electrical energy, and now this is half into Q maximum square by C. Take this as equation 1. We will proceed into the second case, that is, and the key K is closed. So, this is case 2, where you have just closed the key. As you close the key, a current starts to flow and the charge on the capacitor decreases. Now, in this case, the energy is possessed both by the capacitor, and as current starts to increase through the inductor, an EMF is induced in the inductor. So, it also possesses an energy, and in this case it is magnetic energy. The energy in the circuit is both electrical and magnetic. The electrical energy possessed by the capacitor is half Q square by C, and the energy possessed by the inductor is half Li square. Next, let us proceed to case 3. In case 3, what happens? The capacitor would have fully discharged and the current in the inductor would be the maximum. So, let us see what happens in that case. This is case 3, where after closing the key K, after some time the capacitor is fully discharged. In that case, the current through the inductor or in the circuit is maximum. Therefore, all the energy is possessed by the magnetic field of the inductor. So, the energy is entirely magnetic. There is no energy possessed by the capacitor, and the energy in this case is half L I maximum square. What happens next? In case 3, the charge on the capacitor became 0, and what happens next is, because of the EMF induced in the inductor, those charges change on the plate. So, the lower plate would get positively charged and the upper plate would get negatively charged. So, let us now see what happens. Now, this is case 4. Initially, the capacitor had positive charges on the upper plate and negative charges on the lower plate. When we closed the key, the charges started to flow through the inductor, and in between we came across a situation where the capacitor was completely discharged and all the energy was magnetic in the inductor. The charge flow continues further and results in the capacitor getting charged oppositely than in the first case. Again, the energy possessed now is entirely electrical and it is given by half Q maximum square by C. Next, what happens again? The charges will again start to discharge in the opposite direction. This time, this time the current would be in the opposite direction, but the energy possessed by the LC oscillator, no matter what is the case, whether case 1, case 2, case 3 or case 4, whether the charges are entirely on the capacitor or when there is some current in the inductor or when there is a maximum current in the inductor or no charges on the capacitor. Whatever the case is, the total energy possessed by the system is going to be the same, it is going to be conserved, it is a constant. In general, I can write further the charges discharged again resulting in a current in the opposite direction and the process of charging and discharging continues with time, but the energy possessed by the LC oscillator is a constant and in general given by U is equal to the total energy possessed by the LC oscillator, electrical energy plus magnetic energy, which is equal to half Q square by C plus half Li square. Finally, this equation 5 represents the energy possessed by an LC oscillator where the charge or the current is in oscillations. After going through the discussions of this session where we had seen the mechanical oscillations as well as the electrical oscillations, I can have some analogies between the mechanical and the electrical quantities. By looking at the analogies between the mechanical oscillations and the electrical oscillations, we will conclude today's session. Finally, you have this diagram which was also displayed earlier. So, this diagram helps us in understanding the analogy between the electrical oscillations and the mechanical oscillations. There is no need of explaining too much about this diagram, it is self-explanatory. Now, let us make a table of analogies between the mechanical oscillations and the electrical oscillations. Here, you have the equations for mechanical oscillations as well as electrical oscillations. In the mechanical oscillations, the displacement of the object is given by x is equal to a cos omega t. In electrical oscillations, the charge on the capacitor is given by q is equal to q maximum into cos omega t. Also, the differential equation for SHM in mechanical oscillations is given by d square x by dt square plus omega naught square x is equal to 0, whereas in electrical oscillations, the differential equation is d square q by dt square plus 1 by LC into q is equal to 0. We will also consider the third equation, which is the energy possessed by mechanical oscillations and energy possessed in an electrical oscillation. In mechanical oscillations, you have the expression the total energy equivalent to potential energy plus kinetic energy, where the potential energy is given by half kx square and the kinetic energy is given by half mv square. Similarly, the energy possessed in electrical oscillations is given by the sum of the electrical energy and magnetic energy, where the electrical energy is given by half q square by c and the magnetic energy is given by half Li square. Comparing these three equations, finally, I draw a table of analogy where the mass in mechanical system is equivalent to inductance in the electrical system. The velocity in mechanical system is equal to current in the electrical system. The force constant K in the mechanical system is equivalent to the reciprocal of capacitance, that is 1 by C in the electrical system. And finally, the energy possessed in a mechanical oscillation and the energy possessed in an electrical oscillation. So, this will finish the table of analogies between mechanical oscillations and electrical oscillations. So, this is the end of this session. Thank you.